Cool. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Fnatic Interviews, the second episode we have here after the lovely Adrian last week took some time to share about everything about himself, his career in esports, and the lovely stuff he gets to do at Fnatic. And now there's already people waiting for him in the audience. We're having today none other than what's called a social coordinator, social manager, whatever you want to call him, meme connoisseur, Davard. Let me bring him right here.
What an intro,
I know.
actually. I'll turn my
I
stuff on for you.
I almost had the drum roll ready coming in. There we
Did
go.
Adrian have people waiting? If not, then I win already right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's as many people to begin with, to be honest.
It's
So
all a clout competition.
it's just gonna get bigger and bigger as the interviews
Exactly.
go on. So yeah, there's.
Yeah, Pete next week is gonna have like
I mean,
crash
that's
Twitch.
that one's gonna be an even bigger one. See, there we go. You call him social media manager. I call him the goat. I can't remember at which point Adrian was called the goat last week, so I think you have a slight advantage.
Just end the stream, dude.
It's done. Thank you for coming, guys.
Okay,
Amazing.
Adrian. Let's do it.
That's all. It's on video. It's on stream. It's official. Like you can just
There you go.
record it, put it on your phone every time you meet him in the office. Like there it is. Proofs in the pudding.
We had a little chat about his one on yesterday. Yeah, he enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, it was really good. That was mic's kind of low. Let me see how high can I put it. Um. mm, 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 mm. Okay, I'll try to put it as high as possible. Hopefully that
That might be a mistake.
fix it. I don't know.
It's too loud.
But yeah, thank you for accepting the event invitation for joining me today. Obviously, if you watched last week's episode, we do a quick first overview of how you got there, your path, career, studies, everything about you. Then we go into the more juicy details, and we obviously have plenty of questions from the community. So I think you've seen there's a few banger already. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And obviously a little meme competition. We've had a handful of suggestions, so we'll get to have the. I mean, what better judge can we have other than you to go over those and bring in
Well,
your.
this is the thing is everyone has a different taste in memes, you know.
Yeah, but you have that expertise. You. I
Yeah,
mean, so we'll see. What maybe a few tips you can bring to up their game and do your best. Davard mic's still low.
still, move it closer. Can
Let's
I do something on my end, maybe?
if I do this, is it better?
Hello.
I'm gonna put it to the maximum. Hopefully this does it.
Maximum. Holy shit.
Let me see. I'm gonna try to see from my Twitch stream if it says anything. This is this is the most professional interview you'll ever see in your life, guys.
It's not bad.
You know. Okay. Oh, if it's still low, I don't know. We'll transfer onto Discord, but should be fine. I can hear myself really loud. Hopefully it
That
doesn't.
must be fun. I can't stand listening to myself. That's actually I need to put your stream up so I give you the extra view. That's important.
There. I'll take everything.
Yeah. Let me
Alright.
get in here.
Well, on my stream manager, it sounds good to me, so we'll continue like this. If not, then I'll just do some little sound magic on the VOD, and you guys can hear him even better that way. So yeah. Anyways, let's get ourselves started. So, Damar, give us an introduction about yourself, stuff that you've done prior to joining Fnatic, what made you join Fnatic, how the opportunity came around, and how's life been in Fnatic ever since.
It's a long story actually. I guess to intro myself, I'm a social coordinator at Fnatic. And the main thing I do is kind of lead our match coverage and basically run the Twitter, and it's great. I love it. Um, to kind of tell the stories I've told and cover some of the events I've done has been like truly incredible. I've learned a lot. I started as an intern, graduated, whatever the word is. Past that, came into a full-time role and continuing to grind. So it's super nice. But yeah, I had humble beginnings as a British university student. I actually did a degree in a weird degree. I did a weird degree in games design and film and TV studies,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a joint honors. And you might be thinking that sounds like a shit degree.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It was really shit. Um, and yeah, it was one of those ones where like, I mean, the course was fine, whatever. I came out like, I guess must have been the end of 2019. I think I graduated. And from that course, I was like, I don't really want to do things in both. Like the making games is like, I think takes a lot of the romance out of it, and it's just not for me. And then film, like I didn't feel like had a strong enough skill set, and I was kind of like, where do the two meet? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like where do films and games meet? Like obviously in multiple places, really. But one thing that kind of tickled my interest was esports. And I wasn't like massively into esports at this stage. And one thing I guess you'll learn as we talk is that like some of the titles I cover, I've barely even played. Um, but yeah, I kind of came out and I was like, esports is kind of where it crosses over. It's probably a good place to learn. But it's also not like an easy industry to crack into, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I graduated. I was looking kind of at jobs in games in esports. Couldn't quite find anything. And as I finished uni, I actually had a trip to Japan booked, but I was broke and I could not afford like I had the flights booked, but I couldn't afford a hotel.
All right.
So I need to get a job. So like I think in October, November, and this is gonna be a really interesting crossover here with Adrian because he worked in the same place, not in the exact same branch, but we both went and worked at Belong Arenas.
All right. Yeah. 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 You mentioned
So
that.
I
Yeah.
worked in the Oxford Street branch.
Okay.
He worked in some other London one, some inferior one. But he was a big dog. He was a manager, I think. I was just a normal like customer service Andy. And I did this for like I don't even know, maybe a year. I can't actually remember. Maybe a year because COVID happened and it just kind of warps your sense of time. But I did that and that was kind of like you were kind of just like it was just like big gaming arena. I'm sure Adrian mentioned, but to people who weren't watching the last episode, it's like almost an internet cafe for like gamers, and you come in and you rent a PC and you play there. But every like weekday evening, they'll have something called Arena Clash, which is where your branch of Belong will play like other branches in this like big tournament. So you
Mm-hmm.
have like a team to represent your branch. So I was actually the admin for Overwatch. So I ran like 2 Overwatch teams while I was there, and that was definitely like the high point of working that job. That's kind of where I was like, esports is pretty fucking cool. Like this is it. You know, this could be something I could get into.
Mm-hmm.
The low parts of that job were running Fortnite birthday parties for 12-year-olds.
That must have been amazing.
It was not, man.
Did you do a few like emote dances and everything?
I stayed as uninvolved as I possibly could. I literally set them up and then like tried to leave the room because it was so ear-piercingly loud. It was so bad. So yeah, I worked there. COVID happened as I came back from that trip to Japan. The world exploded, and I was furloughed. So I just got some like passive income, and I just played games for like a good part of a year, I guess. Got super into Rainbow Six Siege firstly, and then the Valorant beta came out. Got super into Valorant. And again, like kind of coming from working in this like casual esports environment to then getting into esports games, you can kind of see how it's like building up. Yeah, and then kind of like I think summer of that year we were in COVID and everyone was in lockdown. I got bored and I was like, I need to do something. I'm just playing games all the time. I need like something productive. And one of the guys who I worked with at Belong had his own esports org, and they needed a social media manager. And I had a friend who kind of like put me forward because I had done some stuff on Belong just for like their social, just for the branch, and I enjoyed that a lot. So they put me forward, and I was like, I literally know nothing. I absolutely know nothing. Like, and it was a UKLC team, and they were called Resolve, and they're fairly big now. They're fairly big in Rocket League and stuff.
Yeah.
So I did the social media for them for, I think it was just over summer, to be honest, like a few months. But I ended up doing it like learning quite a lot there because their graphic designer they had was in like Las Vegas. So if we needed stuff, it just took too long. So I ended up like learning quite a lot of Photoshop and all these things, and just kind of got like a pretty decent skill set. So I did that, and I did that for like 50 quid a month. It was like,
Wow.
I covered like their
The
UKL,
big bucks, eh?
UKLC, like NLC, like their splits there, and for 50 quid a month. And yeah, I was so like I wasn't great at it either. Like I was still learning. I don't even remember what I tweeted. Like like I literally can't remember. But that was like the first esports job I had where I had like, I'm Fnatic Davard on Twitter now, but I used to be Resolve RSV Davard. Yeah, that's like really early days. I think during this time I had like 40 Twitter followers, and now yeah.
There you go.
So things changed. But yeah, I kind of quit that after summer because it was just for a few reasons. I didn't think like the direction they were taking. It didn't seem like the right fit for it. And yeah, it kind of left me like, what do I do? Because I'm still furloughed, nothing to do. Had a look around, and there was an internship for Fnatic. I applied for that, but I was like, yeah, probably not. They're probably not going to take me. I still barely know anything. But I also applied for a job with IGN, like the review company. And I got like to the last stage of interviews with IGN, and then bottled it.
Oh no! What happened?
Last stage, I don't really know. They said that they wouldn't pick someone who had more experience. It's like not how they do things, but I'm pretty sure they just picked the other person because he had more experience. Is what it is. I was pretty upset because that was like the job. Like I think when you apply for like multiple jobs, you have one you kind of set your heart on.
Yeah,
and that
sure.
was the one I was like, that's the one I really wanted. I think it would be really cool. They said no, and then I think they said no on a Friday, and I think on the Monday, Fnatic called for an interview.
There you go.
And then yeah, I went through that first interview. I did a task stage where I had to make like, it was like I think originally at this point their whole strategy was to have like someone per esports title. So I was applying for CS:GO. So like the whole task I had to do was to make a meme about like we just lost like ESL Pro League or something like this, and then also like a post to get people hyped. And I remember doing that and a bunch of other stuff, having a really good team interview after. And then before I knew it, before I even kind of fully like comprehended I had got like lost the IGN stuff, I was an intern at Fnatic.
There you
go. And yeah, that was rough. I think I came in, I remember like when I first started being very, very scared to like post on the main account. I mean, I'm sure you can imagine like come in 1.6 million, 1.5 at that point, million follower account is like, you fuck up, it's in front of a lot of people. So I remember like using the always Fnatic Nation account now to just kind of like warm up a bit.
Yeah.
And, thankfully, I had Tanny, who's a McMuffin at the time, and she really helped me just like kind of build confidence. And yeah, I remember the first event I did was Valorant Masters Reykjavik, the first one.
Oh right, okay,
so
yeah.
So this is when we had just signed Durka and Magnum.
Yeah.
I think. And yeah, that was the first event I ever covered. And looking back on it, it was rough. I like it, and it's a good thing I can look back and say, it was not the best coverage ever, because it just means I've learned a lot. And but yeah, from there, like kind of started. I did that whole event, went into LEC. I remember there being like discourse as the LEC started of like a few people were like, Fnatic socials are trash. They could be so much better for the company it is and the team. And I was like, all right, challenge accepted. Yeah, that was kind of what stoked the flames a bit. I think I went a bit cracked after. Like, I remember like just doing my absolute like I was like, I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna do it DGen Goblin on social media. And there was a few teething issues at first. Some people weren't like, this isn't the Fnatic way.
Yeah.
But I made it. So did the first LEC split, did the second, did Worlds 2021. Kind of just
what a Worlds to start with as well.
Yeah. That's what I mean. This world is like so refreshing compared to
Mm.
last worlds. It was like it actually felt like I was covering a world. Like
Mm.
last,
Mm.
like 2021 was just like, yeah, it was rough. But yeah, I kind of just did my internship, kept doing these events, like growing, getting better, just learning. For a long time, it was like basically me solo boloing it, and then recently I've got like a really good team join me, so which is really nice. Uh,
Sorry about that. We're
it's
just
alright.
talking about you obviously moving up the ladder after VCT Worlds, and then obviously 2022, and bringing in the Davard style, the Goblin style into
The
to
Goblin
Fnatic.
style. Yeah, I mean it's very different. Like I think Brendan, the guy who was before me, um, definitely had a different approach to things. It was a lot more I don't know, like formal and a lot more words. And I think I was kind of like more memes and obviously there's still some of that. I think definitely some of his legacy still is still in kind of how I do things. But yeah, I think we kind of found our groove, and as a team now we kind of work to that groove, which is really nice. I think we're all on the same page of like, you know, we would never be tweeting a contract jail meme kind of thing. We kind of know
Yeah.
what's acceptable and not and stuff like this. So that's nice.
Actually, that's a good point. What was your reaction when you saw that meme initially? Like,
My
as
reaction
mm.
was I was in a meeting. I was like, and my reaction was, "It's Monday fucking morning." I was like, "There's too much drama for Monday morning." I was like, "There's no way." Um, I don't know. The thing, my point I tried to make is that like, as much outcry as there was about that meme, it still
Mm.
got 40k likes. So when you're a G2 social team, that's still a win.
Mm.
So they're always gonna do stuff like this if people like it and they get rewarded. It's it's only when they get like 6,000 comments telling them to shut the fuck up and they get like 600 likes. That's when they're gonna be like, oh, So
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Is that in terms of like numbers, stats, KPIs, and engagement, depending obviously on the type of content do you make, how much of an importance does that come within the job and what's expected from you?
um, it's never like it's not really. I think the nice thing about Fnatic is you have the room to play. I think when I joined in the early days, Sam was just like try stuff out, and he's always been like that. I think with us, he's always like if a and my managers too have always been if something doesn't do well, that's fine. You
Mm-hmm.
learn from it and do something. You keep doing that, you'll find what works. So it's never like if you don't get 1,000 likes
Yeah.
today, you're getting axed or anything like this. And it's kind of I think it's a healthy environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because we when we do smash targets and when we do some bangers, there's no pressure. It feels more rewarding, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a bit awkward, obviously, when there's this sort of chase of the performance, but then what's the actual impact of the content that you're making towards the people. And I think a lot of was it mostly like the LEC teams who got a lot of scrap for basically making no content. I think it was 100 Thieves who basically had nothing while they were at Worlds, and they were in the T1 offices or something, and they just produced nothing. So it's like I guess there's like a good balance you need to find between making that G2 meme and just making nothing at all, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's there's a lot of stuff. I think with an esports
Mm.
or the size of Fnatic and G2, there's always something to talk about. And some days it's okay if they're quieter than others. And yeah, there's like you have to think about the overall sentiment and like your brand positioning at some point. Um, at some point you need to be like, yeah, this will get 40k likes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also going to piss off an entire community. Worth it, is it? Like they're still your fans and stuff. So I think having like especially I think for the time I've been here, I've definitely always been pretty aligned with what like Fnatic fans feel and like identify with. I don't think I've ever once had a tweet where like I pissed a lot of people off. Like that's never really happened. There was one I did with the Pope lifting up boaster twerking, which there was like fans that weren't happy, but that's like the only time.
Really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
that's the only time. But that was like 3 people. I've never
Yeah.
had like an incident like that because I think I've always been like probably more aligned with anyone in the entire company on how like our fans and community feel about certain things. So never been a problem.
Good stuff. Lynn actually said he spoke with some of the G2 social guys and they wanted to post, here's our 2023 jersey and post a prison jumpsuit, but it got denied. I think that would have been a better one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's probably still gonna get
yeah, definitely gonna get some reaction, but I mean,
yeah.
Actually, speaking of which, we've got our good man True Viper, our hype man, asking about your most banger meme and why would you consider it your most banger meme so far?
That's so hard. Someone in the office asked me this one time too, and I didn't really know what to say. My most banger meme. It's hard. I think like recently there was one I did which I really liked, and I'm still very happy with it. There was leaks for a Valorant agent called Mage, and then I took the Mage from old school RuneScape and agent select, and I still love that. I think that was great, and that did like 18k likes or something.
Wow.
So probably that, but it's also like I don't know, like how many memes I've made in the last year and a half. It's kind of it's hard to remember all of them. Yeah, there's been some ones where like I think of it, and I'm like I'm so good. Like, yeah, like but I mean yeah, that happens so often. It's hard to put it to one, but I don't know. Yeah, in recent memory, that one.
Speaking of Valorant, actually, I know you have maybe not as much recently, but obviously there was this obsession with Icebox. Where did that come from?
I don't actually know. It's not my favorite map by a long shot. I think I just had a pack of like background shots from Valorant that I'd use in memes, and for some reason I just like always naturally chose Icebox, and then I think Yinsu called me out on it, and she mentioned it when I was in Copenhagen, and then I was like, well, I'll just make it a meme now, and it's still going. So yeah, it's really like it wasn't there wasn't any thought behind it. I think it was just like a pat, like I just repeated pattern of me being like lazy and dragging the first background, and it was always Icebox. So
interesting, because I know that. What was it, Minnie, who's like, you have to change the background, but I mean, when it's a classic,
never gonna happen.
You really can't.
Unless, well, if they do to Icebox what they did with Split, then I'm in trouble.
Oh, okay, yeah, you don't want that to happen.
That won't happen.
Actually, a good follow-up question, still from Viper. I don't know why this is going over.
I love True Viper. He's such a nice guy.
Wait, I need to figure this out. Why is this going behind? Oh, let me do it. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. This is just for visual effects. When is it the most difficult to post on Fnatic official socials, and what was the most difficult post you had to make?
It's most difficult to post on Fnatic official socials when we lose and get knocked out of a tournament, I think. Unsurprisingly, probably. I think most people would expect that answer. In terms of the hardest tweet, I think one tweet I remember being really difficult, and it was like fairly, like maybe a few months into when I first started, was JW leaving.
No, right, yeah.
That was like I think the first like departure post I'd done with like so much weight behind it, and I was like, yeah, that was a hard one to do. True Viper asked this question, right?
Yeah.
He was also, I think he was next to me for one of the most recent difficult ones, which was in Malmo. And the reason that was difficult is because we were in the same room as the team. And I don't know if Chris is still watching, but I said to him like, we're gonna leave here before the team get back from like the stage into the team room. We were like, we're gonna stealthily exit before they get hit, because I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, as they kind of lost. It's not a nice feeling, and you know you want to give the players space there. So that was like difficult, not because it was like, I mean, I had everything written already, like I have it done in advance. which is obviously very optimistic. But it's better to be prepared for stuff like this.
Sure.
But that was difficult in terms of like post it and just get the hell out of there kind of thing. But yeah, I think the JW definitely. I think looking back, it's probably like the one where it hit me the most. Where like, damn, this is actually like sad as hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, for storied players within Fnatic, there's so much, in relation to them being the face of the organization, and obviously not going to talk much about off season, but there might be a similar tweet coming up in the next few weeks that might put you through that same challenge. Without saying, we're not going more into the details. Are you feeling it's going to be kind of the same situation that you had with JW?
I don't know. I mean, first of all, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sure.
And B, it's different to be welcoming players than it is to be saying goodbye. I think welcoming is a lot easier because there's already like most people already like know, and there's a lot of hype behind it.
Sure.
But saying goodbye is different. I think it's hard. Yeah. And JW was like I think one of the players like I had watched before. Being at Fnatic, so that's why that hurt.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, actually, we have our good man Shai saying, "How do you navigate negative fan sentiment when it comes to losses in games, e.g., Worlds this year? What's the most rewarding part of your job?" Very good.
The way I deal with negative fan sentiment is I log the fuck out after release. No, I'm just kidding. It helps to, like I said, I always have stuff ready.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in a big tournament like Worlds, the last thing you want to be doing is losing and having to think of something. It's much better if you have it ready on hand. So I normally do it. Just if there's an option. So if say if tomorrow we played in the finals for the LEC, I would be doing it tonight or whatever, and just making sure I have it. In the same sense that I would have everything ready for if we're champions or whatever. So I think preparing as much as you can helps with like fan sentiment. I think it's like it gives you more time to think about what you want to say. Obviously, if you lose, fans are going to sort you no matter what. This year for Worlds and LEC, we had like a really strong narrative too throughout like the whole season, and in Worlds was like kind of I'm not sure how obvious it was for like a fan looking in, but like internally it was very much like this season and Worlds is like fueled by the like fans and like the energy. So it was like that's the whole reason of the static kit was there's like spam this static is like energy is like in their kit and like helping them play. That was the whole vibe there. So when you have like a narrative like that already built and it's already like focused on the fans, that was really helpful when it came to like writing that kind of losing message, because we already knew kind of like what we wanted to say, and it was just a matter of tying that up. So that was quite helpful. So like having that planned as far as like back and ahead as you can is kind of useful. But yeah, I think sometimes it's inevitable, like fan sentiment. If you lose something, fans are going to be upset, but in the same sense, it's the nature of sports in that you do lose, and you can't always win.
Yep. No, for sure. And obviously, you say you sort of prepare like any scenarios in advance. So is that like in terms of like the context, the message you want to put through, and it's like you have like if Fnatic wins folders and if Fnatic lose folder, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, I kind of know what I want to say. Like, and normally when I do coverage and just like throughout the season, I have kind of because normally like I've covered the whole thing, so I know the entire context, which is really helpful. So I'll kind of know, like if it's whether like look because like when we finished LEC, we kind of look back on how it was like a miracle split, right? Like there was that miracle weekend where we started like a 30% chance, and we made it happen. Kind of looking back on that and kind of focusing on like, to be honest, the fact we're even here in the first place is like a bit of a miracle. So like kind of looking at that was kind of a good way to go about it. And then yeah, in Worlds, just kind of the whole idea was fan support making it happen. So just kind of like focusing on that, having all that stuff ready, and then kind of writing into a message is the best way to do it. And then what else? What else did Shay ask? What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Yep, that's the one.
Oh, um, I think like going to events for me, I think, is what makes it worth it. Um, like especially when I get to meet fans and stuff, and yeah, like seeing these big stages, meeting all the fans, it's like it makes it feel real. Sometimes when you do social media, you're at your desk all day, in a different country, and you feel a bit detached. But once you're there, like with that crowd and feeling that atmosphere, it feels real, and it's like, you know, sometimes you feel detached too when you do a tweet, and it's just a tweet, but when you're like in that arena, you think all these people are gonna see that tweet, and people know who you are and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, because you've been traveling a bit recently. You were at the Halo tournament over in the US. Was that a few weeks
Yeah.
ago, right? Yeah. And so there was Malmo. What other events have you gotten to go with Fnatic on these past years?
Ooh, so yeah, I was in Seattle for Halo,
Mm-hmm.
then Malmo for LEC finals. Although that was very last minute, that was almost not gonna happen.
Yeah, I remember you said you were gonna stay in London, and I was like, "There's just no way. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna meet this guy." And I was like,
Tanny came in clutch for me
"Yeah,
and
100%."
helped me get out there, which was super super nice because that was probably the best event so far. Copenhagen for Valorant was super cool. Before that, I went to Berlin for the LEC
Mm-hmm.
semi-finals in spring versus no Rogue. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I went to Berlin as well a few months before that for a super weekend. So yeah, that's like my little travel diary. So it's been cool. That's like I think one of the things I said to Fnatic, like as I finished my internship and was like kind of coming into this year, was like I'd like to go to more events and see it in person. And it was like it means a lot to me that they listened.
Mm-hmm.
Big part of like why I'm very happy in my role is I think like they do listen, which is nice.
That's very nice, to be honest. Like getting to
Yeah.
move around. Is it? Were there some countries you had already been to, or all of them were completely new for you?
I had never been to Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been to Copenhagen. The only place I'd been to was America.
Okay.
Seattle. It was in Seattle, and I'd been there like 3 times before. So it
Interesting.
was kind of cool to go there for work and have been there like as a tourist. It was kind of cool.
Sweet. Awesome. We have, well, kind of in the same vein, question from our good man Adrian, saying, "What aspect of your role would you say you have progressed the most on since you started?" Adding a PS, super blessed to know and work with you. Much love to you, King, with a little emoji heart. Ah, how cute, Adrian.
It's very cute. Likewise, Adrian. I'm a big fan of yours. So,
He did
yeah,
say you
cool.
were his favorite colleague, so
He did. I saw that. Yeah.
that's official.
Yeah, that's cute. Put me in your Twitter bio. That'd be even cuter.
True.
Little heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'll stop flirting with Adrian.
It's fine.
The aspect of the role I've most progressed in, that's a surprisingly difficult one.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird because like I can say my meme skills have gotten better. My MS Paint has certainly got better. But like the main thing, I think I'm a much better writer. From when I started, I think just the way I form like tweets and like it's such a weird the way I form tweets. But the way I write is much better. I think if you look at some of the tweets I did for like especially when we lose, it's the most wordy tweets I do.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I used to do compared to now, like so much better. But I think this is not so much part of my role, but I think as a person, I'm a lot more like since I started Fnatic and since where I am now, I'm like a lot more confident. I think as a person, and that kind of comes through in my work and also just who I am, which is really nice. But yeah.
Yeah, I was actually, because you were talking about obviously earlier the sort of Goblin mode, making those kind of, funny, edgy tweets and changing sort of the perception of what Fnatic was. And I mean, I remember when it happened, I was like, oh, finally, we're actually showing a bit of gusto, a bit of skin, in there. But at the same time, there's still those tweets which are about like meant to be inspiring about the fans, the community. How did you manage to kind of differentiate those two moments of like kind of a bit maybe more serious one where you have to be a bit more, I don't know, have a more official tone for the tweet, and the moments where you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna post a banger and get a bazillion likes because I've got an amazing idea just at the corner of my head.
Yeah, it's a hard balance to strike actually. It's kind of one of those things like it's hard to like put into words almost.
Mm.
It's I think something you kind of learn through trial and error almost. Um, I think I think like I've said before, like I've always been like very well positioned with like fans and fan sentiment and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've always been pretty naturally good at it of when to be like good tone and like basically essentially like what I would say is like very like formal old school Fnatic is like very wordy and like regal and um like kind of very formal. Like I know when to kind of bring that out, and I also know when to bring my memes out, and
Mm-hmm.
it just depends on the context, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely makes sense completely. I'm trying to see before we go into the, let's say, funnier questions. See if we have some more. Actually, interesting one. It's time for you to bring some inspiration to all the up and coming social managers out there. We've got Dogo asking, "What's your advice for someone looking into becoming a community manager in the future?"
Well, I'm not a community manager, so I wouldn't know. I'm a
There you
social
go.
coordinator. Thanks for the question, man. But you want to ask Tanny about, you want to ask McMuffin. Um, if we want to swap this for my role, I think there are a lot of teams and a lot of like just esports entities out there on Twitter with like really shit social media, and
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're in a position where like you think you can do better and you want to do better, it's not hard to reach out to some of these teams and just be like, let me have a crack at it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like some of these smaller league team, like all of these like small, like especially I think Valorant is such a good scene right now. If I went to be a social media manager, like Valorant would be where I'm looking because you have all these game changers teams, all these like ascension teams with like really mid social media, but you can like a lot of the time it's just being done by like a team manager or a coach. So you be going in there and kind of taking weight off their shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
covering their matches properly, but also building yourself experience. That's kind of what I would do is look at these like C, B tier teams and be like, I could do this better. I don't want to name them just in case, like, you know. But yeah, I think there's quite a lot out there that you can just come in and take over and make a name for yourself just by doing it right. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most groundbreaking stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just having it done by someone, it like makes a massive difference.
And you brought up actually a good point about match coverage, and I was wondering. Obviously, Fnatic is one of those organizations that has presence across a lot of titles on different games. Um, Actually, two questions: how much of all the games that are covered by Fnatic do you play or understand? And my second question would be, depending obviously on the type of games, are there some games that you prioritize in terms of coverage and content that you put out, or do you try to keep it like a sort of ground level, be like as much as there's like League of Legends happening, then an event for Dota or something, we try to give it the same proportion depending on the amount of games that each are having, obviously.
Um, so in terms of the first question was like general game understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty privileged in that I know about basically the only game I don't know about until a level where I feel comfortable covering it is Dota.
Okay.
Uh, so Dota was done by South Asian team.
Mm-hmm.
It's all on Facebook. So it's I've only the only event I've covered for Dota was like ESL Stockholm.
Mm-hmm.
Even then I had support, but like that's the only game I don't know much about. The others I've got like at least 100 hours in, so I'm like pretty confident covering them. I think like most confident is Valorant. Funnily enough, is Valorant. Second is League. Um, then it would be probably CS:GO and Rainbow Six.
Mm-hmm.
But this is my biggest secret: is that I don't play League.
What? No.
Shock so many people.
This is too much information. My whole world has crumbled around me.
Yeah, I just covered my second Worlds, and I don't play League. I'm level like 22 on League.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a big fan of the esports, and I mean, I've played a bit now, and I sweat out some ARAMs every now and then, but like enough to know the characters and what they do. But you'd be surprised how much the LEC is more about the players and the people involved than it is actually about the gameplay, especially from a social media approach. When you do social media for LEC, you clip a you clip a nice like pike hook or fresh hook. Like that shit's not gonna do anything likes wise. You do a funny picture of Hilly, you got 1,000 likes. So it's not about like sometimes it's not about your game knowledge. It's about knowing what works at the right time. So that was I think for League, I feel very comfortable with my coverage now, but it took a while, and I was always against the odds, but like there's people in the same industry who know much more about League than I do. So yeah, that's my deep dark secret about social media is I don't play League of Legends. What was the second part of the question? I forgot.
Well, I think you mentioned it a little bit, but I think we can go a bit deeper. Is that how do you manage the coverage of like and try to level throughout all these games? But obviously, you did mention there was a different team, and I know that Dota has more of an audience on Facebook instead of Twitter, but actually, maybe you can talk about when it's time to cover like 3 games at the same time. Like you've had League, Valorant, and CS:GO sometimes throughout the year. How do you manage those things? Do you have like a bazillion screen, like you're a surveillance man is just having to look at all the games and try to cover it? You use like maybe any tools to clip some stuff or get some memes in? Like how in those special circumstances do you manage what seems to be like a crazy attention span that you need across 3 different titles with different play styles, different timings and stuff like this?
I think first thing you do is kind of like categorize the events you're covering. So you look at, I think very recently, we had Copenhagen Valorant Masters crossover with LEC. And you kind of look at the moment what's going to get the most engagement, B, what do fans want to see the most, and C, like what's more important like to the company brand wise, this kind of thing. So at that point it was a LAN event and a Masters event for Valorant versus a regular split game of LEC versus XL. Valorant won, so Valorant gets like most of the attention. So nowadays we have a team, which is really helpful. But like a year ago, it was primarily just me, and there was like some people. I had some support sometimes. That was much more difficult when it was just me, obviously. And that was a matter of having like 3 streams on. I have 2 monitors, and it would be like having 3 streams on, and then kind of one gets your main attention, and then kind of like so if you're covering League, there's some downtime in League, and then you can kind of look at what's going on in the others. I also a big cheat to match coverage sometimes is just having the casters audio on, because if the casters blow up and they're like holy shit, then you know to clip. And also Discord and Twitch chat also helps, because if they're popping off about something it's worth clipping or talking about, that helps. But these days there's a few of us and it's not so much of an issue. When we had Copenhagen and LEC crossover, I took Copenhagen because I was there in person, and my coworker Sial took over LEC. So
interesting. I just saw this comment in the chat right now, mentioning about League and saying you should get to focus on the draft aspect and have banned Yumi against EDG. So how do you explain this sort of mismatch in draft right now? And have you improved since?
Have I improved my draft since Worlds? No, I never ban Yumi.
Good.
I love her so much.
There you go.
It makes me happy when I see the little cat on the screen. I'm just like,
Uwu cat, yeah.
I'm like Uwu cat. I don't care if we lose. It's the Uwu cat.
I've just lost 10 viewers right now. Actually, Lars has an interesting question. I'm wondering, what games do you play right now?
At the moment, I'm playing Overwatch 2 with
Hmm.
Fnatic Shy. I don't know how you fucking pronounce it. We play a lot of Overwatch. I've been playing Valorant on and off for the last like 2 years. I get really tilted at Valorant, and then I get back into it, and then I get really tilted again, and then like it's a eternal loop. But I'm also big into just like normal games. Like I'm super into JRPGs and just like loads of stuff. I've just been playing like just finished playing Total War, Warhammer, and stuff like this. So
Hmm.
not just esports titles. I'm just a big gamer in general.
Massive nerd. Well,
Big
speaking of you
nerd.
being a gamer, actually, Shy does have a question wondering how do you manage to be the best top mid jungler, ADC, and support player out there? Any tips? Now, obviously, you did announce that for 2023 you would be the full roster for
I will be all
Fnatic's.
6 players. Yeah,
Yeah, and the
all six,
coach as
five
well.
players.
So,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Um, it's hard to be honest. Um, I have to move my neck at like you
Mm.
know ridiculous speeds to cross every monitor. But to be honest, I'm just better. Most of the guys in the LEC are pretty ass cheeks compared
Mm.
to me. Um, they need to step up really. I don't know what to tell you. It's just natural talent. I'm actually level 22 on League, so like these guys are level 600 and shit, maybe if
Mm.
not more. Like just get good, man.
Yeah, I heard that Humanoid couldn't hang and said he had a easier time playing against Faker. So
Yeah, Marak Brazda gets dunked on by
yeah,
by, like by any of my lanes actually.
yeah. As they say, I'm afraid that Davard clears all. So
Yep.
it
They're
is.
gonna put me in Star Walking music videos by the time because
They'll have you next year. They were saying, oh, maybe we're gonna get the story of death like they had ambition for Rise, but it's gonna be for
yep,
Davard instead. So
to me, yeah.
it is what it is. Um, actually, there we go. Great question from our hype man again. True Viper asking, how does it feel to be the handsomest social manager in the game? How does it feel that she broke
Oh.
Q and you up? Where is my MS Paint PFP?
How does it feel to be the most handsomest social media? I'm not even the most handsome social media manager in the game. I'm not even the most handsome social media person in Fnatic. Fnatic Lamar, sheesh, this guy's hot.
Yeah,
Um,
you meant Adrian, who's said your favorite
he's
comment.
not he's not he's not on social.
Oh
He's
yeah,
a
I guess yeah.
membership
Okay, fair enough.
membership Matthew. So um,
True.
yeah, I'm not even the most handsome social media in Fnatic. There's some hot social people, man, out
Damn.
there. I can't keep up. Um,
All the
he
people in
should
Fnatic are pretty people. That's what I heard.
he should have asked what it's like to be the handsomest LEC player, in which feels good.
Multi-role prodigy.
I'm gonna skip the second question because he's baiting fucking hard. Where is my MS Paint profile picture? I don't think he's asked for one. I can draw you one, but
There you go.
yeah, I'll draw you one. Sure.
You get one of the most creative paint artists of our generation to draw your profile picture. Um, let's see what this one I just saw right now. So it's I don't know if I should say his handle, which is Ricking099, asking, "Hey Davard, why is Creams so good? When are you gonna rank up in Val?" I don't know why you just question is sex question mark. Okay, I guess. And why? What do you think about green beans? There's probably some inside jokes that I'm missing here, but give it your
I
best.
mean, I don't know if they're inside jokes. I'm missing them too because what the fuck is going on? Why is Crim so good? He's bald. Um, when are you gonna rank up in Val? I just did my placements. I got Diamond 1, which means I'm not playing the game anymore
Wow.
because it means I'm above average and I'm okay with that and I don't need to touch the game anymore. Sex question mark. I no. I don't know what you look like. What do you think about green beans? Don't have an opinion. Really, they're fine. I think anyone who has an opinion on green beans, like strongly enough to bring it up in a podcast, probably is a bit weird. So I'm just gonna be like, they're green beans.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for you before we move on to the big judgment of the memes? I think we've covered everything. Um, right, let's see. I need to get into my other folder. We got okay, so we got Dogo. I don't know. Oh, how can I share this with you so you can see it?
Okay, I can look at the stream
You
if you
can
want.
look at a stream. Yeah, there might be a slight delay,
I see it.
but we have this one. It says Fnatic fans when they see Fnatic roster rumors, and it's the Charlie. Woo! That's what I'm talking about, baby.
It's not bad. It's a little low effort, doggo.
Mm,
It's just a GIF. You could. It's not really a meme. I would say GIFs and memes can cross over. It's not bad. You know, it's. I'll give you a C. It's a C tier.
see,
It's not bad.
okay,
It's not bad.
that's not too bad. Coming up next, we have Coquito with this one. So he says apparently it's based on a popular video, and it seems like there's a kid shoving some food into some lady's mouth. And why can I not get this? There we go. Saying my top laner support looking at the level 3 Lee Sin ganking mid, and someone is trying to farm. So, do you,
It's
as a level
good.
22 player, do you relate?
Do I relate? No. Is it a good meme? I would say yeah. It's good. It's solid. I need to see the original video probably for extra context. And I'm enjoying it. It's a good one. And it's this who was the dude before? I can't remember his name.
I was Dogo prior.
This this is a meme. He posted
There you go.
GIF caption. This is true memeage. So this is I'll give this like a high give this a high B maybe.
B.
High B.
What there
B
you
A
go.
maybe a little
Wow.
low A.
I mean, you can use the plus, the minus if you need to kind of adjust, but damn.
I'll give you
So
a B
this
plus.
one, I guess, was submitted not necessarily an original meme, but it came with a question asking how much of this is true. Just make it bite on my
I
camera.
mean, look at my actual hair. And there's your answer, no?
Is your hair by choice or is it just flavor of the day every time?
Both. It's actually both. It's how I wear my hair, but it is also just like it's kind of just how it looks every day. Like, just kind of varies.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The first time I saw your picture, I was like, is this the lead singer from Papa Roach? Because you guys have kind of the same haircut.
Well, it's helpful like in Malmo and stuff.
Yeah.
People just know it's
They
me,
know, it's
even
like,
when I wear a mask,
it's
because
him.
it's just yeah. It's useful in that regard. Like people know who. I'm sure when you saw me, you were like, oh shit, that hair. Like it's
The legend in the flesh.
Yeah,
He's here.
exactly. No one in esports.
We have
that
this
meme
one, which I think is this is from Shy.
This is but like she can't enter because this is her job too. Like
Yeah.
like it's like me entering. It's not
This
fair.
is too good.
This is like the best meme I've ever seen. So when she posted this earlier, I was like, "There's no way."
I was
Do you know what I mean?
laughing
She
so
did. She drew my hair. Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah, that's the. I'm so like the fact that you'd actually draw on like meme templates for me. That's just taking it a level
That's
higher. Yeah.
normally Shay, and she's very good. So she does our Instagram.
Actually, speaking of which, how much fun has the off season been?
Not. It's I don't know. Not much fun actually.
Really?
No, it's more stress than you'd think. I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like having to kind of lag behind rumors and speculation is always not nice, to be honest. It's always better when you have like kind of the space to do your own thing, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand. It's like, do you feel like you're kind of, I don't know if I should say forced, but feel like you need to interact because you can't just, be like, see no evil, it's not happening, it doesn't exist, and be like, oh, but while not too much interacting with it and say like, oh, obviously you have the Wooloo, the Eros are super popular in the community right now, so like we can't really just ignore it, but at the same time there's nothing we can say because nothing is official yet. So
yeah, it's tricky because at the end of the day it is all just rumor and speculation. Whether it turns out to be true or not is kind of a different story. But kind
Mm.
of, I think the problem is it's not so much like it's not so much the problem I have with like LEC Wulu or like Eros or however you pronounce it. Actually, I'm a big fan of his, but like
Mm.
it's more the fact that the internet as a whole will take it by like as truth and
Mm-hmm.
as like there's never a doubt or like an inch of like hesitancy and like believing what they say, which is like, you know, and it's annoying when LEC really has a track record as good as he does. That's
Mm-hmm.
obviously like why would you doubt it? But it
Yeah.
would be nice to I think just rumors in general, like I think having a bit of, you know, room for people to be like, I don't know if that's true would be nice, but yeah.
Actually, what's your take on like, I guess the growing popularity of requesting for leaks? You know, do you think the way it's being handled right now is healthy, or do you wish that they would just pump the brakes and on another side, you feel like you're missing out on really posting some big hype post, especially obviously if we consider the rumors that are being said and what potential content you could be producing afterwards. You're like, gosh, I wish they didn't say this because I had such like banger stuff prepared, if and it would have been such a massive surprise for the community and everything. Does that ever come into your mind, or do you like, it is what it is?
I think it's the problem is like especially like if I'm looking back on I think like Leo for Valorant
Mm.
is that when it gets leaked, it kind of treats it as like a soft launch,
Mm.
and it's kind of like it's not an announcement from us, but like the community almost treats it like an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
It means like kind of anything you do is like playing second
Yeah.
fiddle, which is a bit annoying because like, and that's kind of how you end up with like these kind of more like goofy like parody announcements. Is like what we did for Leo is we did like the rip off from the Sentinels thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just because like at some point you just have to go like, well, everybody already knows.
Yeah.
So there's kind of um, that element of it. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I've been at Fnatic a year and a half. I haven't been in a esports company where like league culture hasn't been like massive. Like
Mm-hmm.
both off seasons I've been in league now have been like it's been a massive part of it. So it's just kind of all I've known. So I'm used to it, but it's a bit like it does make me wonder, you know, if there's a parallel universe out there where like what it would look like if esports orgs had the space to just surprise fans for
Yeah.
once. I think cool. But yeah.
No, I agree, and it's. I mean, it's. I think that over time, because if you look at this maybe 2 3 years ago, and the sort of league culture was starting to come into the industry, and it was like nobody was listening at them. There was Jacob Wolf, who was the league guy, and he's
Yeah.
completely disappeared now. I know he's taken himself away from this, but it would be a bit more structured in the sense that they would have an actual like sort of off-season show, and stuff would come on there. And now it's just like a big jungle where you have what 3 4 more or less confirmed investigators slash journalists. And like if you look at the recent rumors, they're all announced within second of each other, and it's like, oh, he announced it first, no, he announced it
Yep.
first. And you're like, really? I mean, is this what it's come down to? And like especially this season, I feel like having followed the scene for quite some time, it feels like the fastest off season ever. Because usually when it comes to the 22nd, where it's the official contract signing time, that not
Yeah.
all the teams are locked. And I was looking at basically someone who sort of came up with all the rumors to this stage. I believe that 8 out of 10 teams are pretty much 100% locked, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not even half of the month. So
Yeah. It's insane, really.
mm.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, yeah. It's like I said, it just makes you wonder what it would be like in kind of an ideal world where each team has space to surprise and actually kind of do these like super hype announcements without anyone kind of already knowing. And to be honest, like obviously leaks, there is room for some fun stuff. Last year we did the Twitlonger, which was some people didn't like it, but I found it hilarious. I thought it was like a funny way to do it. And that was like the whole idea of that announcement was kind of taking the piss out of leakers and
Mhm.
Dressing P up as a sheep and stuff like this.
Yeah.
There's a room for a bit of fun, but there'd be a lot more room for cool stuff if it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And I know it's just part of esports and sports in general too.
Yeah.
But it's, in a perfect world, wouldn't happen. Because from our social point of view too, is like if shit doesn't get leaked, then we have more engagement when we announce stuff too.
Mhm.
So it's like, I mean, we still get pretty good engagement when we announce stuff like Leo. Everyone knew the Leo stuff.
Yeah.
But there's still, like I said, there's still kind of fun ways to go about it. Like we did the whole like mini frag film to kind of like meme it and like take some to make people doubt a little bit. Like, is it actually Leo is mini playing? Like, with there's I think some ways to meme it, but like it would just be a much cooler world if we could just one day surprise some fans. But maybe
No,
not.
definitely. But I feel like so far, the way kind of the challenge came up, you guys have managed to come up with good ideas. Like you mentioned last year with Pete doing the sheep, and I thought, like, oh, this is like genius to actually bring it that way and be like, you know what, fuck it, you guys want to leak it? Well, we're gonna play your game in the end, and you guys also interacting on the post, like even you saying, oh, I'm the full roster next year, and it's just somewhat muddying the waters, like I'm not saying anything, guys, and just if I keep repeating that will be the roster, maybe people will actually believe in it. Actually asking me to say what draft I'm gonna do next week.
It actually is the roster where I'm playing all 6 positions.
There you go. It's
Ask
true.
Pete. He'll say it's true.
You've heard it here first. Check HLTV.
Check HLTV. Exactly. Check the liquid.
I'm gonna give my shot, and because I'm like, why did I not try to come up? But I'm gonna bring
your memes are good, and you know this though. Like you have good memes.
Some of them are good.
I know Adrian liked your you're like unlocking the door with the key one. That was good.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Let me open stream here. I mean, I've seen. I just saw it, but it's
this one's an old one. I was like looking through my folder. It's like.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love it. That's good. I think the picture also just helps.
Yeah. For sure.
Just wonder, beautiful stuff.
Oh, someone had a question. Will Fnatic compete in Overwatch 2? Is that a question for me? Because I see I'm tagged in it. I don't think Fnatic will be in Fnatic. I don't think Fnatic is touching Overwatch with a 10-foot long stick anytime soon. So for people who don't know, here's a bit of Fnatic history. Fnatic was in Overwatch way back before Overwatch League was a thing, and they didn't make franchising, and thank God, because that looks like a money's pit, and you don't want to be in there. It's not good. And when you see how the league is using the investment put by the team and the infrastructure that they have, let's stay with the Riot ecosystem and LEC Valorant. It's much more fun, especially Valorant is super hype. So
also, I think like one thing I don't like about Overwatch League and COD League too is that like the teams are like it's like Florida.
Oh yeah, the Mayhems and the
you lose
Spitfires, like and they're forced to change this name as well. Yeah,
I don't like that. I feel like you should be able to just be you shouldn't have to like split your brand to be in a franchise league. But I don't know. I like Overwatch isn't really a title. Like I don't like as just an esports fan in general. I don't find Overwatch League exciting.
Yeah,
I think part of that and part of COD. I mean, COD's more exciting. Overwatch just because I think they moved it to YouTube, and it's just the game's just it's kind of hard to watch.
It's super hard to watch, and they've done nothing to improve it. And that's the problem with games that have so many sort of multi-layered action. And considering like League, which is just top down, CS:GO, which is very easy, like one-dimensional map. Even if there's can be maps with like stairs whatsoever. And same for Valorant. It's like there's no way where there's gonna be someone who's just flying in the air 24/7 and then nothing's gonna happen. It's like, oh, she's actually healing the guy who's right at the base. So No,
I think Valorant to some extent has the same problem where it's like a lot of visual vomit. Like it's
mm,
like if you don't play the game, and even if you've only played the game like once in 20,
mm,
you like if Astra pops a fucking smoke on on C long,
yeah.
you're gonna be like, what is that? So the nice thing about it though is that I think the objective is fairly straightforward. Like if it's bomb defusal and
Mm,
it's the same as CS. So the base like mechanics of the
yeah.
game are kind of, and the same for League really. Like if you like, I think for League it's quite watchable because you can explain it on a very base level as like kind of a tug of war, right? And it's free. But then for like people who are super into League, it's like almost watching a different thing because you
Yeah.
see all the micro plays and like the meta. The same thing with Valorant, I think. Like, yeah, it's just a lot of visual vomit. Like,
Yeah.
same thing with it's just like so much sometimes. Even when I watch Valorant, sometimes I'm a bit like, what the fuck?
I actually
I'm like
started playing
timing for
Valorant to
Valorant.
understand more because when I was first watching it, and I was like, I was coming from CS:GO FPS, obviously, and I was like, oh, it's just very similar, and the intricacies of or like the spells and abilities, and you're like, oh, this guy has the best spot, and then suddenly he loses the 1v1 joint. I was like, what bullshit just happened right now? It's like, why is this girl shooting a big rocket, killing 3 people at one time? Like, where did that
Yeah,
come from, dude? And then I started playing. I was like, yes, now I understand everything. Little monocle while watching Valorant. So I guess
yeah,
you should
yeah.
smoke here and nade and flash. Yes, very good, very good. But yeah, no, I agree. Especially, if you have stuff like the Viper walls and the neon and stuff like this. It's just it can get very confusing. But yeah, at the
I do. Yeah, I think I do love Valorant, and it's also Valorant's like, I mean, I guess to bring it back uh, to subject almost
mm,
is like the one title I think at Fnatic where I've like been able to write what it looks like on
mm,
socials. League, CS:GO, or even Rainbow Six, all this stuff has like existed before me, but like as I joined was kind of when Fnatic Valorant was kind of
yeah,
picking up a little bit. So like, especially coming into like this year, like I really like kind of I think paved the way of what like Valorant looks like on our socials, and a big part of that is also thanks to my manager Phil, who does like obviously manages me and the team, but also like deals with our Valorant content, and
mm-hmm,
like us being like really synced up. I think is like also a reason like Valorant's really succeeded like as a Fnatic title, and also like why the players are so loved. And like I think even if you look at the players, like especially like Durka, like they've really like stepped out of like from being this like shy kind of
yeah,
player, like kind of having more of a face to them. So like that's something like I think I'm really proud of at Fnatic too. Is just like I think Valorant's a title like I can kind of say that a lot of that was me, which is nice. And obviously League obviously looks a lot different to how it used to too. So a lot of these things, it's really cool.
it's actually a good point you're putting forward because something I noted is like, oh, obviously the personalities that create the current Valorant Fnatic team, and even like the players that came before. There's always been like a really enjoyable environment, and I don't know if that's first and foremost driven by Boaster and the way he is, but
Mm-hmm.
like even when we still had Enzo, this guy is just such a nice person, and
Yeah, yeah,
all the content that's come with it, both videos and social media. Obviously, when Fnatic comes into a new franchise, a new game, you want to, I think, sort of put as much of the spotlight to start with, but I feel like the continuation of that has been quite organic, and I'm seeing more and more people actually either on the Discord or otherwhere being like, oh, Valorant team is super cool, and I watch it even though I
yeah.
don't necessarily play it.
I think even being around them and having met like I think all of them
Mm.
pretty much, except for like the like Tsac and Mo. I think I've met all of them, except for Leo now too. Um, they are like the most humble players I think across Fnatic
Mm-hmm.
because most of them are so young and it's like their first exposure in esports. Um, like compared to League, especially where like you have these like veterans and they're kind of like more like spoiled kids compared to like the Valorant boys, and
Yeah.
the Valorant boys are just like, and yeah, maybe a lot of that is that like I think their leadership figures in Mini and Boaster are very like humble. Like Mini and Boaster always have time to talk to you, which is really nice. And I think that kind of paves the way for the rest of the team to be like very nice too. And yeah, I've never had like a problem with like ego and stuff like this in Valorant. Like they're just nice kids, and to be honest, like they are kids, like most of them. So yeah, it's just a nice title, and it's nice to do content and nice to do stuff with the boys, and go to their events just because like they make the time to talk to you, and they're just super humble. And it's really nice.
Yeah, that's. I mean, speaking for myself, that's definitely the vibe you get from them, and
Yeah.
I think as the franchising opens up and the first game comes in, and it really becomes like a regular regular games come in, it's just gonna blow up in popularity. I've just realized I missed a question from Lars asking, can you give us an insight on how your normal workday looks like?
Oh, that's interesting. Normal work days are hard on because it really varies. Like a normal work day in the off season is a lot different to a normal work day in the regular season. I wake up, I make a coffee. Depends if I go into the office too. I only work in the office 2 days a week. But yeah, I normally have coffee in the morning. We have like a start of we have a stand up social where we kind of go like what's planned for today. Is there stuff like we need from the company? We need to go out. If there's something going on in the wider world we want to talk about, which happens more than you think. Like social is like always on. There's always stuff happening. It doesn't have to be esports. Shay made that really good meme about like Liz Truss being like the voter surrender, so like stuff like that. That's kind of how we start the day, and then yeah, we all kind of have these like kind of things we do throughout the day. Depends, like kind of what like I do Twitter, so it's mostly thinking of like tweets and putting content out, and if there's games covering them. So it really depends, but yeah, it kind of I think the main consistency is we have that like start of day meeting, which is really helpful. But yeah, it's a lot of it's match coverage, which I love. It's my favorite part of the job is doing match coverage and like telling the stories about players. It's like real privilege.
Awesome. There you go, Lars. Here's your question answered. And actually, I believe our final question of the day, which brings us to the ultimate point of the interview, which is 10 quickfire questions. Now, I'm going to ask you very simple questions. You're going to have to answer as fast as possible. The first thing that comes to your mind, hands on the clock, get ready. We start with favorite food.
Pizza.
Favorite color.
Orange, but not for that reason.
Favorite animal.
Cat.
Favorite movie.
Donnie Darko.
Country you want to visit the most.
I want to go back to Japan.
Favorite song.
Oh fuck, I don't know. At the moment, it's Changes by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, but it changes.
Cool. Biggest fear.
Dying.
Best gift you've gotten for Christmas.
My guitar.
Would you rather not be able to taste or hear anymore?
Taste.
Favorite moment with a Fnatic.
Malmo.
Malmo.
I think, yeah.
Because you met me, obviously. So
yeah,
that just.
Course. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll say that. All right. Awesome.
And the podcast.
And the podcast. There you go. Official Fnatic podcast, the one and only. Yeah. I mean, Fnatic was there in the chat, so what else do you need, really?
Fnatic was in the chat.
Fnatic was in the chat, and always Fnatic was in the chat. Oh my god, what a privilege, what an honor, dude.
I said too much, get me out of here. No, I'm just kidding, it's fine. Hi, Tanny. Miss Tanny.
Oh, there she is. You've summoned her.
Don't tell him it's the same person next to you. I have to.
Oh no. The magic is ruined. It's not Sam Matthews behind the computer looking at my stream. Man. Hi, boss.
Hey, boss. How's it going?
Awesome. Well, that concludes our second interview of the Fnatic interview series. I want to thank Davard so much for participating in this and for giving us all the details behind his work at Fnatic and being just the biggest banger provider ever since he joined the organization.
Thank you.
We usually end with a final words from our guests. So, Davard, the floor is
Uh,
yours.
Thanks for listening to me for a whole fucking hour. Jesus Christ, I don't know how you managed that. um, yeah, I mean, yeah, thanks to anyone who's ever liked any of my memes, and means a lot. I'll keep doing my best. And to everyone who came and watched, and my coworkers who are for some reason watching and sort of enjoying their Wednesday evening, thanks for coming. And yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Fnatic, for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, at Fnatic.
But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. The questions, the memes, everything. I'll see you guys next week for our ultimate interview with Pete. Hopefully, there's no content obligations that would prevent it from happening. So fingers crossed. I'll be looking forward to this interview. Davard, thank you again. Good luck with all things off season and the upcoming Counter-Strike games, because our boys are through to playoffs. They're doing so well, and hopefully they go the whole way through. Guys, I'll see you next week. Take care. Always Fnatic. Bye bye.
Thank you.